today. As you may know, or some of you may not, I'm Jules. And this week I went down a rabbit hole for you. I went down this rabbit hole. I have literally spent the last few weeks, if not months, going through over 100 of the top performing med spa sales funnels in the country. I've been studying what they do right, what they do wrong, and what's actually converting for people. So let me tell you, some of it was pure genius, absolutely brilliant. And some of it, no joke, made me want to throw my friggin' laptop at the wall. So some of the patterns I found were absolute gold, and I'm really excited to share them with you on this call today. So today I'm breaking down exactly what's working right now, what's killing your conversions without you possibly realizing it, and what small change we could easily make to your sales funnels, your marketing funnels, to double your booked appointments. So when I say I've spent hours deep diving into these funnels, I truly mean it. This isn't theory. This is data. This is real world experience. And I've spent the last 5 years, so more than just the last couple months, right? But I've spent the last 5 years helping med spas across the country hit consistent 6 and 7 figure months, not by guessing, but by knowing exactly what drives revenue. From startups just trying to get their first 100 leads to multi-million-dollar practices refining their marketing machine, I've seen what works, what fails, and what actually moves the needle. And here's the truth. We didn't get here by luck. I didn't get here by running cute ads on Facebook, right? I got here by obsessing over the numbers, studying the patient psychology, and building systems that make your marketing predictable. So that's what today's call is all about, guys. Showing you the patterns behind what the best med spas in the country are doing and how you can use them to scale your marketing faster, smarter, and with way less stress. The first thing I want to go over today is what the best med spas are actually doing right. So they have the perfect offer balance. So most people think, right, like they need to launch some crazy lead magnet. They need some crazy discount to get people in the door. But none of the top performers in the country are actually using that right now, that strategy. Instead, their offers have perfectly balanced that low barrier to entry and that high perceived value, right? Where it's just high enough that we don't have discount shoppers and tire kickers coming in. An example of that, and it was one of my favorites that I actually personally run too, is like PRP biofiller, right? For $649. It's a good entry level cost. It's a high perceived value when we talk about biofiller and how PRP can help your face and help your skin. But $649 also is not going to come in and attract a bunch of people who are like, well, could you just do my lip flip for $5, please? And I like to pair these with like some kind of premium add-on as well, right? Like, use your funnel and your landing pages to really educate on like a free education or a free consultation, right? For Sculptra, or a free filler assessment, right? Make something that feels very unique to them, to the end user. And so that low barrier of entry, but high enough to not attract those price shoppers is the biggest takeaway on that front end offer. The back end, once they actually opt in, is those small deposits that lock in that pricing. And it positions the brand as very high end. So the key is not giving away the farm, right? Make it easy to say yes without cheapening your brand. So the best med spas are not running discounts. They're running invitations. They're inviting people to come take advantage of this offer. And the way that was positioned always caught my attention first, and was from some of the biggest, best med spas. So the other piece of this puzzle, right, was that while I was digging through these funnels, I didn't just analyze the systems or the offers, but I also took the time to pay attention to what made me stop scrolling Cause like, let's be real, right? I started opting in to Botox. And when I say I did 100 funnels, you guys, like legit, I had 100 med spas blowing up my phone every single day. It was a little dramatic. So I took very, very great notes. I really paid attention to the things that I knew were going to gain results, the things I liked, things I didn't like. Needless to say, once I started opting in to Botox, once I started opting into these different offers, different med spas, I did them all around the country, right? Once I became a lead for these people, I started getting served with thousands of ads. Like my algorithm knew, right? I was looking for it. I'm a hot lead and it was trying to show me every med spa in the country. And so I paid really close attention at that time. What made me stop in my tracks, what I found to be very attractive, very bold, and what I just thought did a really good job in not only catching my eye, right? Because I'm a little bit biased, but what also had tons of engagement on the front end of things. So, um, none of this is going to work, right? If your content isn't grabbing that attention. And so, what stood out to me first and foremost were gorgeous and intentional graphics. The ones that stopped me in my tracks were simple, bold, and instantly clear. I didn't have to read the caption to understand what was being offered. It was crystal clear from the visual, the treatment, the benefit, and the action that I needed to take. Some of them had really pretty stock photos and models on them. Some of them didn't. I'm not a huge fan of stock photo models. I would rather see a provider on it. But I did see a few of the stock photo model girlies were actually performing really well on the front end. So I think there is a time and a place for them. The next creative that I saw just absolutely outperforming everything else on Facebook and Instagram were the personalized photos with the provider. So, the content that made me click were short and authentic videos where I could see the injector, no fluff, no filters, just the provider, the injector, talking confidently about a treatment, showing me the before and after, whether it be in the comments or some slid it into their video editing. Which, fun fact, Facebook does not allow like it when you do that. So be very cautious if you do it. But I did see a few people getting away with it. The next video form were people walking me through the experience of getting that treatment done at their med spa, or what we call UGC. If you don't know what UGC is, it's user generated content, essentially patient testimonials, right? Like people who were just raving about what life was like before they got the treatment done, why the provider and the practice made them feel so safe and so valued, and then what life was like after they got that treatment done. So the truth is that I didn't click because I was sold on the service, although I am a very easy sell because I love med spa services. I clicked because I felt connected to the person, right? And that's why everyone else was engaging, was commenting, and was clicking on that same. So that's the power of authentic content. It shortens that trust curve, right? When your audience feels like they already know you, the conversion process becomes 10 times faster, which is always the goal. Like when they have to see your brand so many times, the less you can shorten that, the more you can shorten that runway, right? The better and the more effective your ads are going to be. So clarity converts and personality sells. So make sure your funnels are doing both. Now, let's talk about something a little bit controversial in the marketing world, right? And that's Facebook lead forms. I found this to be a silent killer. And here's where most of you guys are losing money. Every struggling funnel I reviewed used Facebook lead forms as their primary conversion tool. And I just want to go on record and say there's absolutely a time and a place for Facebook lead forms. So I am not hating on them. I think they can be extremely useful when we need that high volume of leads and we have time to sort through them and hound them 100%. But the problem for me with lead forms is that they're too easy to submit, right? So that means that the intent is very low. And when the intent is low on Facebook lead forms, and actually, I'm going to pause here. Let me take a step back. So, Facebook lead forms are essentially, for those of you who don't know, they're when you click on an ad, you hit get offer, right? You don't have to go to some other external website. You don't get sent to another place to read about it and input your information. It's those options where Facebook will automatically submit your information for you by clicking on that button, right? It's super easy and Facebook loves it. And Facebook always recommends doing the Facebook lead forms because it does get you a very high volume because it is so easy, right? But again, when the intent is low, it's much harder to convert all of those leads into paying patients for you. So Facebook will autofill that information in, and you can oftentimes end up with some inaccurate data. Some of it is great. You can still absolutely make some money from Facebook lead forms, but I will say it's the numbers, right? Like the percentage of people you're going to convert from a Facebook lead form are going to be much lower because of the intent and because they're oftentimes you're left with inaccurate data. I signed up for a few of them in this research and in what I was doing. And like it literally had like my AOL email saved in there somehow from like my 2009 when I created my Facebook profile. And when I went to go and opt into it, I was like, yeah, you're never going to reach me there. So you may see a lot of that kind of stuff coming through. If you see a lot of, oftentimes people call them fake or fraudulent leads. Not always the case. It's usually a real person doing it, right? It's just Facebook is giving you the wrong data for it. So there's too much room for error. It also breaks your nurture system because the person doesn't even remember opting in, right? That was the other thing is that I was much more bought into the med spas and to the funnels, the offers that I had opted into during this process, the ones that I had actually been forced to go interact with their brand, like the ones where I really saw their landing pages, their before and afters, their videos on the funnel. The ones where all I had to do was click a button and I could keep scrolling. I had to go back in my notes, right? Like, why, who is this? Did I opt in for this? Are they spamming me? So that was one of the issues that I saw there. When I looked at the top 10% of funnels, every single one used a branded landing page, not a lead form. So the difference is night and day, right? The lead quality is higher, the confirmation rate's higher, the show up rate can almost double. So if you've ever been frustrated that your leads are ghosting you after they opt in, it's probably not you. It could potentially be your platform. So there is a time and a place for lead forms. I just want to say that again, because we do love utilizing them again when it's necessary. So if you're looking for a high volume of leads, it's a great place to start. Just remember the goal isn't just about collecting leads, it's about creating that commitment. So the next most important thing that I saw when going through this fun game of opting into 100 different offers was this is the part that nobody likes to admit, right? Your nurture game will make or break you. So I saw med spas that would do everything right from an advertising perspective and like totally had me hooked onto this juicy offer. And then they would completely drop the ball after I opted in. They would send me these cute pictures, the generic, hey, beautiful text, or robotic reminders. And those all kind of lost me, right? So the ones who nailed the nurture sequence, they would have me absolutely hooked. They followed up with me with purpose, not too often, but very consistently. They sent real, thoughtful messages that sounded very human and not scripted. So they didn't just try and sell me again. Like they made me want to really join their brand. So some of the things that stood out to me from those nurture systems were the social media integration into the text. So the follow-up text that invited me to follow them on Instagram, which is great, but it only works if you actually have a killer feed, right? When I tapped over and I saw them, I was like, oh, I saw real before and after photos. I saw videos of the providers talking about their treatments very confidently. stories showing the transformations that they've been able to achieve, and educational posts that also built trust. So that one step of getting me to follow them turned me from interested to instantly converted because their social media presence was so good. The next part is they would send me photos or graphics with their actual Google reviews. So a few med spas sent me a quick text or email, right? That was like, here's what our other patients are saying about their results from this specific treatment. And it linked straight to their Google reviews or showed me exact photos and videos of what those patients were saying for the treatment specifically that I opted in for, right? So it's all very consistent. And I thought that was just really genius because social proof doesn't like just convince me, but it really reassures that I'm making the right choice and getting this done. When I hear other people who are just like me are struggling with the same problems I'm struggling with, right? Like I'm hooked. I want it. I need it. I'm like, can I get in with you sooner? And then the other part of it was like the real human touch. So I have something that I think is kind of shocking that I saw one med spa doing. Um, and I thought after a while, I was like, gosh, this is so brilliant. So there was a med spa, they texted me and they used an intentional typo in their follow-up message, right? And then like an intentional message after, right, with an asterisk that corrected it. And I thought, did they just send me a typo by mistake? Like I really thought about it for a second because I was like, ugh, like it was something small. It wasn't like they totally messed up, a text message or something, right? But when I realized that they did it on purpose, I was like, wow, they did that to make it feel human, to feel unpolished, to feel real. So I'm not recommending this is the right strategy for everyone to do, but I did think that was a very interesting angle that I was like, oh, it did feel very genuine, right? It didn't feel like an automated message that went out. So I thought that was funny. Thought that was an interesting take that I wanted to share with you guys today. The next was the engagement, forcing my engagement or like a micro commitment from me in that workflow, in that nurture sequence. So I love when the med spas really forced me to engage before continuing the conversation, right? So messages like, did you mean to subscribe? Do you want to see our other specials? Right? I had to reply yes before they would even spend more time or energy texting back and forth with me. And that small action like really qualified me instantly, right? It would filter out all those passive scrollers and keep them working on only the leads who actually cared about that offer. I thought that was simple, effective, and very smart. The next thing was balanced persistence, right? And so I say this with a grain of salt because I respect the hustle of calling, of texting, of like blowing people up the first 2 to 3 days after you get their information, because that is the hottest time to get them booked. But I did find it a little bit off-putting when someone kind of crossed that line from persistent to pushy, right? Where they called me like 3 times in a row. The ones who checked in with me once or twice and added value to me, to my text messages, those are the ones who earned my trust. The ones who got a little bit too pushy, I really shied away from. Although, again, said with a grain of salt, because I do respect the hustle. Like, there is something to say about someone who is just relentlessly following up with you to make sure you get taken care of. So I just, I really encourage everyone to follow that with balance, right? So don't go out overboard, but don't give up either. And always, always, always add value in the conversations that you're having with your leads and with your appointments. So let's see. The next thing I wanted to go over were other areas where I thought that med spas are getting wrong. And so these are more of like fear mongering, right? Beware, try not to do this too much. So one is they were chasing leads and not chasing conversions. And I'm always of the mindset of like, I don't really care what your lead volume is like. Lead volume isn't going to pay your rent. It's not going to help you make, your provider salary. it is going to keep you busy but broke. If you're not actually designing your entire sales funnel, your entire marketing funnel to convert these leads into patients, you're just wasting money, right? The next thing was that they had no show up system or a broken show up system. So no deposit, no reminder cadence, no personal touch. Patients who book on impulse will cancel that appointment just as easily, or just keep filling that spot on your calendar. And then you're going to have a provider there with a no show, right? So make sure you have a really locked in show up system. Websites and ads that don't match, I also found a few times, and I was like, that instantly broke my trust, right? So if I click on an ad for Botox and I land on a page that is all about laser hair removal, and your messaging isn't congruent at every single step along the way, you're losing people, you're losing trust. They get there and they're like, ugh, that was not what I wanted, right? So those were those top 3 things that if you are doing them, stop right now. So, okay, if you're thinking, how do I actually fix this, right? I need a roadmap. I need to know what my next step is to fix this. I would say start 1, make sure that your landing page is built to convert and that your ads are actually sending them there, right? So using brand colors, using your own photos, using your own tone of voice, potentially creating photos and videos specifically for that landing page that clearly talk about the offers that you're running on Facebook. Include 1 to 2 patient testimonials on that landing page. And I always like it. I'm a big proponent of deposit. So, adding that lock in my offer button that forces you to go pay a deposit. $49 to secure your spot is always my favorite, like, happy place. It's applied towards their treatment. It's non-refundable if they, cancel or no show kind of thing. But that is a really, really important step in your overall sales funnel. The next thing is creating a really locked in nurture sequence. So make sure you have automated text messages confirming that you've received their opt-in or them becoming a lead, right? That you've received that, your team is on it. You're so excited to work with or speak to this person. Automated emails, automated text messages with next steps, with a social proof, right? Confirming their appointment. And then same thing, once you confirm their appointment, make sure you have multiple text reminders going out. You've told them where to find your building, for example. All those are very important in that nurture sequence once they've confirmed their appointment. And then the next most important piece of it is aligning your content to match. So if your funnel is about talks, your offer is about talks, make sure your stories, your reels, your posts are all echoing that same message back, right? That's how you build authority and repetition that really sells. So when someone is scrolling, doom scrolling, right? They see your Facebook ad, they see your Instagram ad. The first place they're going to go is your profile. They want to see if you're real. They want to check you out, make sure you get good results, right? You're not spam. And when they go and do that, making sure that your content is, again, echoing that message back to them about the amazing results you're able to get, that's when they're going to confirm their appointment and come in and pay that deposit as well. So the best med spas in the country aren't necessarily doing anything crazy, right? They're just doing the fundamentals flawlessly. And I think that that's a lesson we can all take from them, right? They balance accessibility with authority. They respect the patient's buying psychology. And they don't rely on luck. They're relying on their system. So if you take nothing else from this, you don't need more leads. You need better commitment. So, okay, let's see. I got a message come in for a question before we hop off here. So Stacy says, I've been in business for 3 years. How do I get more followers on Facebook and Instagram? On Facebook, we have 630 followers, but it seems like only the same 25 to 10 people like our ads. Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense, right? Facebook is a tough one. So Facebook is not as easy to get followers and engagement on your or on your regular content as it used to be. Facebook is very much a pay to play platform now. Their algorithm has really forced or really pivoted towards genuine human connection between, your family members or your friends, and not so much from business pages. So it can actually be really difficult to get your stuff into someone's timeline. The way around this is unfortunately to pay or play, right? So spending $5 and boosting your top posts to your followers to make sure you get on their timeline, or even spending a little bit of money with the whole on an ad campaign with the whole conversion or the whole action that you're trying to get people to take to be to like and follow your page. It works when you are paying Facebook to do that, but if you're not paying Facebook to do that, they don't tend to rank you very much. Now, Instagram is a lot easier to build organically because a lot of people do go to Instagram to interact with brands and to kind of stay up to date on things, right? And so in Instagram, my best tip for you to gain more followers on Instagram is to identify partners, right? Don't identify competitors, other med spas in the area who are offering the same thing as you. Instead, think about where all of your target audience is hanging out, right? So where do they get their hair done? Where do they get their nails done? Where do they go for a spray tan? Because I'm sure they're all following their nail girl, their hair girl on Instagram. And if you go to those people's Instagram and you see who's actively engaging with their posts, right? Who's liking and commenting on their most recent posts, and go and follow them first. That is the quickest way to get people in your target audience who are local to you to follow you back, right? And then when they follow you back, send them a message, send them a new follower DM or a new follower gift that's like, hey, thank you so much for the follow. We want to give you $25 off your next med spa service. You have to use it in the next 30 days. Reply if we can get you scheduled. Now, you're not just gaining more followers, you're turning them into patients too. And that is the quickest way I've seen grow an Instagram account. Now, you got to be careful. You can't follow everyone in bulk. You can't follow a ton of people all at once. So be conservative. Do like 30 people that you're following a day. But I promise you, with that consistency, you will go way above your 630 followers in just a few months. I can assure you. All right, guys. Well, let's see. I don't see any other questions coming in. I want to thank you all so much for sticking with me this long as I ramble and talk quickly through something I'm extremely passionate about. I love sharing marketing tips and seeing what I'm seeing in the market and what I'm seeing really perform well. So again, thank you all so much for being here. If you love this training, make sure you share it with your team or another med spa that could benefit from it, please. You can always catch this replay on our YouTube channel. And if you want to get access to more free training that will help you grow your med spa, visit our link tree in our social bio and be sure to join us live every Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Central Time, same place. Find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thank you guys again so much for being here. Reach out if you have any other questions and have a great rest of